Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and I'm sorry I've been away for too long, but I had exams and I could not focus on making much videos. But now I'm back, and I'm definitely back with a bang, because here, this is in my mind one of the best games of the last century, and even a candidate for being the game of the century. And definitely it's going to be played by none other than Mikhail Tal, and this is a game where you know that Tal is not to be taken lightly, and Mikhail Botvinnik did that a lot even after he crushed everyone in 1959 candidates tournament, getting the first position. I think he was ahead than everyone in 2 points. And I'm sure you know which game I'm going to be showing today. This is game 6 of World Chess Championship 1960. We're going to be analyzing every game from the World Chess Championship, but now we're just going to be focusing on the game 6, which in my mind is game of the century. So I'm excited for this one. I'm sure you are too. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here Tal is with the black pieces, and here Mikhail Botvinnik is with the white pieces, and he starts with this c4. He goes for the English opening, and he has employed this English opening one time before game 6, and but this time Tal was prepared. Tal goes for this knight to f6. He goes for the Anglo-Indian defense, and we have knight to f3, but just g6, going for the queen ghetto variation, and we have g3, bishop to g7, and just this bishop to g2. And we have castles, d4, and just going for this d6. You want to challenge those central pawns by going for a move like e5, and here just knight to c3 was played, but just this knight to d7. And here after castles, we have to find the central breakthrough by Tal. He goes for this e5, but here, not phased at all, Botvinnik goes for this e4. And you could trade, but you do not want to trade that, because here after knight captures, you don't want to get that. You don't want to release that tension early on. You want to keep that pressure going. And here just c6 was played, but we have this h3. And here after queen to b6, we have this b5, finally advancing that pawn. But here you normally don't want to trade that. You want to wait your opponent to trade, so you get this very nice massive center, and you can push that pawn all the way maybe in the future. But here Tal chose something, and Tal definitely prepared something for Botvinnik. Here Tal goes for the c captures on b5, and after c captures, we have knight to c5. And here Botvinnik definitely had something in the position. He could have gone for this rook to e1. And here one of the lines that could have taken place was this bishop to d7, but after bishop to f1, now you go for this a5. And here after bishop to e3, we have rook c8, but after queen to b1, you go for this queen to d8. And only after this a4, now black will be mostly pushing on the king side, and Botvinnik would have a chance to play on the queen side. And what that happens is after knight to e8, this going for advancing that f5 move, and here you don't want to be worried much about it, because you play this rook to a3. And after f5, now you play this e captures, and after g captures, now you go for this b4, just pushing your pawn, ignoring black on the king side. And after this a captures, now you play this queen captures, and you want to defend that knight, because you don't want this bishop captures and maybe this winning that pawn in the future. So here after b6, now you play this knight to g5, and only after this rook to b8 and after rook to d1, now you play this h6, pushing that knight back. But after this knight to e6, now you trade everything. Knight captures, d captures, after bishop captures, you go for this knight to d5, just getting that knight to a very nice central outpost. And that knight is an absolute monster, so it has to be moved. So here after knight to f6, you want to trade that knight for a knight. So here after knight captures, queen captures, but now you play this bishop captures on b6. And here Tal would have a massive center. He would be able to push this amazing pass pawn, amazing D pass pawn, but Botvinnik would have an amazing outside pass pawn, and definitely you don't want to give Botvinnik a bit too much, because that A pass pawn would be too strong. So Botvinnik did have all of this in the position, but he missed it. He instead went for a passive line with this knight to e1, but here just this normal developing move with this bishop to d7. And here after knight to d3, you go for this knight captures, queen captures, and just this rook f to c8. And here definitely Tal is bringing a pressure. He's definitely declared that he's going to be attacking on the queen side, and Botvinnik should have been prepared, but he definitely took Tal a bit lightly. He went for this rook to b1, and this rook to b1 was definitely a good move, because you want to develop that bishop, and you don't want that b2 pawn to remain under fire for too long. Here just knight to h5. Tal is definitely playing on both sides of the board. You don't want to do that. It's not principal idea, but Tal, he makes it work. Hey, bishop e3 was played, attacking the queen, but just queen to b4. And here after queen to e2, now you go for this rook to c4. Tal went for this spectacular rook lift, and here after rook f to c1. But now you can see that all the momentum of Botvinnik with the white pieces has been shifted, and you can see that it's not Botvinnik who feels like he's playing with the white pieces, not attacking, but he has been on the defensive side. And now you know the move that is going to come, which is this rook into c8, and not definitely having too much pressure on along that c file. You have your rooks doubled, you have your queen on b4. If this bishop gets alive, it's definitely going to be troublesome. And here after king to h2 was played, we have that finally just trying to get that bishop alive and finally going for that breakthrough with this spectacular f5. And here after e captures, now you go for this bishop captures, but now you can see that with this e captures and that bishop getting to this f5 square, you can see that there's a lot of pressure and you're going to have to move that rook, and that b2 pawn is not going to be defended and the queen is going to get overwhelmed. Here after rook to a1 was played, you have to move that rook. But here, one of the best moves that was ever played and one of the best candidates for the game of the century move. And here in this position, Tal went for this spectacular and one of the most beautiful moves that I've ever seen with this knight to f4. And I mean, you get a position where Tal already has the momentum, and you know that Tal loves the crowd, and even the crowd was going crazy before this move, when Tal all had this momentum, and and everyone knew that he was going to come out on top on this game, and Tal just threw this beautiful knight to f4 move against Botvinnik, and everyone in the crowd was going crazy. Tal loves to entertain the crowd, and it definitely shows because he just sacrificed a knight, and you could take the knight, but I mean, it's just so complicated that even with a classical move, and Tal did this to his opponents so much that he just took his opponents in a deep dark forest where the path was just wide enough for one to come out. And definitely, hey, you could play this in a lot of different ways. You could choose to ignore the knight and maybe capture it with the bishop, but I think that would not be good because after trade you get this bishop alive and it was not at any cost. So Botvinnik did the only thing he could. He went for this g captures at f4. He accepted, and the best way to refute a gambit is to always accept it. So here after e captures, and now you can see that the bishop has come alive, and you definitely don't want to trade this pawn. I mean, then you get into all sorts of weird things. So here, instead, the move that should have been played was just this a3, and that's just one of the lines, because here after queen to b3 you play this bishop caps on a7, grabbing that pawn, and here after bishop to e5, now threatening some nasty discoveries, because if that f3 move is to be played, that would come with a tempo and you're going to have to sacrifice the queen with the bishop. So here after f3, stopping that, you have to play this b6, now trapping that bishop, but not really, because even if you go for this a4, now trying to go for that a5 to save that bishop, and now if you go for this rook to a8, thinking finally you managed to win the bishop, but not really, because you have this amazing rook lift with this rook to a3, and only now once the queen moves, now you have this knight to a2 attacking that queen. And here you have a spectacular move. You might think that bishop is falling, the queen is under attack, what are you going to do? You have this spectacular move with this rook to e4. Yes, sacrificing an entire rook, and you cannot trade that rook under any circumstances. For the queen, then I just take your queen and it's an even game. But here, if you dare to even consider to take that rook, now you get this again, the idea that we have been preparing all this game with this spectacular f3, and that comes with a check, and that is a discovery. So here after king to h1, now you go for this f captures, and here after king captures, now you get this spectacular bishop captures on e4 with check. And here you can see that these bishops are absolute monsters, and giving a position like this to a player of Tal's caliber, I mean, you're already losing. So instead, what you would want to do in this position is not go for the bishop right away with this rook to a8, but you want to play this amazing rook to b4. And it might seem equal, but it's not, because here after a5 you go for this b caps on a5, and only after this knight to d1, now you go for this amazing rook to c2, attacking that queen, and now you want to trade that rook. So here after queen captures, and after queen to a6, now you play this bishop caps on b2, and just grabbing that pawn, and you have to capture the a5 pawn as well, otherwise it could become a thorn in the position. Here after rook caps on a5, you play this bishop d, and here a silent but definitely a deadly move with this amazing bishop to b6. And now if you have been seeing the idea being that getting the queen all the way to b7, and then going for this amazing rook to a8 checkmate, and there's not many ways that you can refute that with. So here, nicely going for this queen to c8, you're gonna have to sacrifice some material, and with sacrificing, what I mean is that after queen captures, bishop captures, now you're gonna lose the bishop with this amazing rook to 8, and there's pretty much nothing you can do. Here king to g7, but this rook caps on c8, and after rook caps on b6, now you can see that Tal is down a piece, and Botvinnik would most likely be winning this game. So there would have been a lot of variations with that a3 move, but here instead Botvinnik went for this bishop to d2, but this bishop to d2 is definitely gonna haunt Botvinnik for the rest of his life, because here this amazing queen captures on b2, and this queen captures on b2 is definitely one of the most amazing bluffs that I've ever seen in chess, because here you could actually go for this rook to b1. And even this bishop captures comes with threat, but it's not really a threat, because here Botvinnik went for the best move. He went for this rook a b1, but here Tal just shows why he's Tal, why he plays such complicated chess, and why he takes these people into such complicated positions, because they burn time. And when people burn time, they tend to make mistakes when they have less time on the clock. And here Tal, not even preparing that with a move like bishop d5, he instead goes for this amazing f3. And Tal, after this knight to f4, just throws that f3 at your face. I mean, it's just pure pulling at this time. And here the best way to, you have to refute that, you have to capture that. The best way would have been just to capture that. And even before, if you're wondering what happens if you capture that rook, if you go for this rook captures on b1, then you get this just rook captures, and now the queen is under attack. You have to move the queen. So here the only move, queen to c2, but you get this knight to b5. And this knight to b5, definitely one of the most amazing moves, because here after bishop to e5, threatening all sorts of discoveries. Now you don't care for that, you go for this amazing knight captures on d6, just going for poking both the rooks. And now you cannot go for this discovery, because here just queen captures bishop. Here after bishop captures on d6, now you go for this queen to e6 check, and only after king to g7, now you go for this rook captures on b7 with a check, and you have to block with the rook. So here after rook to c7, now you go for this rook captures, bishop captures, and after queen to e7 checks, after just giving a few checks, king to g8, queen to e6 check, king to g7, after queen to e7, now you go for, after king to g8, you go for the spectacular d6, but now your bishop on d2 is hanging. So here after queen captures on d2, now you go for this d captures on c7, and that pawn is too strong. We just left like this, because here just queen to d8, and you would be getting another queen into the game. So here you have to sacrifice the rook. So here after rook captures, now you go for this queen captures, and here Tal would be down another piece and definitely in a losing position. So once again, as I said, this queen captures on b2, definitely a bluff. But here Tal threw just this amazing f3, and now you're in a much more complicated situation, because what do you do? Because here the best way to refute this would have been to play just this bishop captures on f3. And no, I'm not kidding, because even now if you go for this rook captures, bishop captures on b1, now you go for this rook captures on b1, and after queen to c2, you have this bishop to e4, just attacking that queen, and the queen does not have any squares, so you're gonna have to sacrifice the rook. So after rook captures, knight captures, now you go for this queen captures on b1, just getting that rook. Now you might be thinking, you just sacrificed an entire rook, what are you doing? But now you go for this amazing knight captures on d6. Now not only the rook is under attack, but unfortunately for Tal, the queen cannot get back into the game. This square is covered, and I'll tell you what I mean by that square is covered, because here only now after you move the rook, now you get this queen to e6 check. And I'm sure you would have seen this tactic most of the times, because here king to h8, and now this amazing knight to f7 check. And now you can see that you're gonna have to sacrifice the rook, otherwise you don't want to get smothered mate. So here after rook captures on f7, queen captures, now you play this queen to f5, and now after queen captures, g captures, you get this position with both are dark squared bishops, but you have this pawn that is going to queen on a dark squared, and you have an outside pass pawn. I mean, definitely you don't want to give Botvinnik a bit too much in this position, and this would have been giving him a bit too much. Botvinnik could not see Tal's bluff, and here after having to suffer with all of that knight to f4, with this f3 thrown at his face, with this bishop and all of these rooks eyeing all of these pieces, Botvinnik could not calculate it accurately, and instead he went for this blunder, which is this rook captures on b2, and his position just completely crumbles after this. He was in a better position, but that's what Tal does. Tal just gives you complicated position that you're gonna have to calculate, and there's just one accurate move, and if you cannot find, you're definitely gonna be in a losing position. So here just this f captures on e2, just grabbing that queen, and here just this rook to b3, but now it's a bit too late, because just rook d4, and after bishop to e1, now you go for this bishop to e5 check, and after king to g1, with all those chaotic moves, I haven't asked you to try your luck, try your skills, and try to find out the best possible moves in this position, because there's just one move that completely crumbles Mikhail Botvinnik. So get the title away from Mikhail Botvinnik and get the game and get the advantage in the series if you can. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move, and the move is this amazing, spectacular rook captures on c3. And it's such a beautiful move. You cannot capture with the bishop, because here just rook to d1 would have just immediately given you a new queen and in a completely winning position. So here, if you go for this rook captures, now you get this rook to d1 with the same idea, and now there's nothing to be done. You cannot get the rook here because the bishop covers that square. So here only move rook to c7, trying to solve some trouble, trying to go for that mate, but it's a bit too late because just bishop to f4. And now your rook is under attack. You cannot move the rook anywhere above because here just bishop captures, here just rook captures bishop, and then you'll be getting another queen into the game, and you cannot move the rooks anywhere here either. So here, just this rook to e7, but now you're gonna have to part ways with the rook because rook caps on c1, and after rook caps on e2, you have this position where your bishop is stuck, and this rook is stuck guarding it, and definitely a position like this against Tal is completely losing. So this was definitely one of the lines that could have happened, but here after king to g1, both players were too much down on the clock, and here just this bishop to f4 was played, directly going for that rook. And I know we have analyzed this game a bit too much, but you can see that how rich and how amazing this game is, that you can just analyze this game for even hours and hours, and you'll still be able to find this amazing moves. And if you want to see it from the eyes of grandmaster, or even from the eyes of the one who played it, there's an amazing book by Misha himself, by Mikhail, and he has analyzed this game thoroughly in that book, and definitely you should read that book. And here, to go on with this game, we have this knight caps on e2, just grabbing that pawn, but we have this rook caps on c1, and after knight caps on d4, rook caps on e1, and after bishop to f1, we have this bishop to e4. And now slowly but surely all the pieces are going to be traded, but just look at these bishops, and these bishops are absolute monsters. With this rook here, definitely you know what's coming. Here after knight to e2, but here Botvinnik had to try, it was the World Chess Championship. So here after bishop to e5, we have this f4, and after bishop to f6, now we have this rook caps on b7, and after bishop caps on d5, we have this rook to c7, and after bishop caps on a2, now you have this rook caps on a7, but just this bishop to c4, rook to a8 check, king to f7, rook to a7 check, king to e6, and now we have this rook to a3, but just this d5. And here that pawn is going to be a bit too strong, and definitely having an outside pass pawn with this position, I mean, it's just impossible. But Botvinnik tried, he went for this king to f2, but after this bishop to h4 check, now you have this king to g2, king to d6, knight to g3, and we have this bishop captures. Bishop captures, we have this d captures, and after king caps on g3, we have this king to d5. And after rook to a7, we have c3, but now you can see that with this pass pawn, as it was a few moves ago, this pass pawn is just going to be a bit too strong. Here, rook to c7 was played, and after king to d4, we have this rook to d7 check, but it was also on this move, on move 47, that Mikhail Botvinnik resigned the game, and Tal won his spectacular victory in Game 6, leading the score. And this lead, definitely, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the World Chess Championship, you should. Mikhail Tal won the World Chess Championship, and that definitely happened because of this lead, because Botvinnik just could not continue his momentum. I mean, after suffering this devastating loss, who could? So definitely a spectacular, and definitely my pick for the candidate of game of this last century. I mean, it's just so beautiful. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be coming up with spectacular games like this, so stay tuned for that. I'll be seeing you guys very next time. Thank you all.